everybody! Welcome to another Grounds with the Goats.
Morning.
It's Monday, fun day.
It's actually supposed to rain. Why don't you have that thing facing us?
Because I'm too bad at staring at the screen and not at the camera. Mom was like, stare at the camera! She didn't say I was doing it, she said, what I can't stand is when people can't stare at the camera and they want to stare at the screen and their eyes are obviously not looking at the camera. I can't stand that. I said, I know, I'm horrible about that. Like the last couple videos we made, I'm staring over here, literally watching the screen. So I'm going to leave the screen backwards. So there's nothing to stare at other than you guys.
And watch it be like half off.
Oh, but the only thing is I can't see the timer, so I am going to have to go ahead and flip it.
I still feel like Dookie, y'all.
Yeah. Time to get back at it. Back on the workhorse. Back on the grind. Yep. My nose is running. My nose has been running for 6 months. Quite literally.
So, we want to say in remembrance of today,
What?
we still think of all the ones that their lives were lost.
Oh, Lord, is it 9/11? Yeah, for sure. And then,
And all the people
excuse me for not even realizing, I didn't even notice. I knew that it was coming up. But I just, absolutely. We pray for all the families that still have to suffer from that day.
Yeah.
What a horrible day. And you know, what's insane is there's such a huge, there's what, like 2-3 generations now that wasn't even alive.
Oh, I don't know.
During
I was
9/11?
in 6th grade.
We're in 2023, so.
I was in 6th grade, so I would have been, how old would you have been in 6th grade? Like 11 or 12? I would have probably been 11. So that would have been, yeah, that would have been 2001.
2001, I was graduating high school.
I'd been 11.
I was graduating high, I was senior in high school.
So it's been how long now? I think a generation is just 20 years, correct me if I'm wrong, so no. Maybe one generation, sweetheart.
No, it's been 22 years.
I know.
2001, it's 2023.
How many years equals a generation?
10?
No.
How many years?
I thought it was 20.
Oh.
Correct me. If anybody knows.
I'm not sure. I just know that there's tons of kids out there, like our child, for instance, wasn't born until 2006, and she's a senior in high school, 18 years old. And she was born 5 years after the fact. And whether or not they actually teach kids about this, which sounds absolutely absurd, but would not put it past our crazy country. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy that it's been that long ago. Yeah, what a horrible day that was.
I remember. Do y'all remember where you were? I remember exactly where I was at. They come and got us out of school. They sent us home. I remember them rolling. I remember being in my 6th grade science class, and I remember them rolling the TV. Yes, children, rolling a TV in.
Yeah, they did that.
And they turned it on to where we watched it.
Or wait, no, I wasn't even in school. I dropped out. I think I was over at that house on Francoma at Dorothy and Rob's house when it went down. So I remember watching the towers fall.
Yeah.
I do remember being in school during the Oklahoma Mural Building bombing in 1995. I do remember that, and I do remember them rolling the TV into the classroom to watch that, which was especially insane for our schools because it happened in Oklahoma, right down the road. Timothy McVeigh bombed the government building, ended up killing like more kids than anything because there was actually a daycare on the very first floor as soon as you walked into the Muir building, like right in the center of where he bombed it.
Dave actually took me over there to that memorial.
Yeah, they have a...
It's a beautiful memorial, but I just hate the reason why they have it, you know? We read a book one time. It was back when we weren't living the best life. We didn't have any power. So we went to the library and got books. And then lay in bed and read books.
Yeah, we never returned that book.
I don't know where it is, do you?
No. But we got it from Scottsburg, Indiana library, and we read it on our way to Oklahoma.
I don't remember.
We used to do that all the time. When we first got together, that was like a thing. Well, actually, the reason I think it really started was we had an apartment in Austin, Indiana, and we couldn't afford to pay our utilities, so our electric got shut off. So we would just lay in bed, and we'd go to the library and order books, which the library was right next door to our apartment. And then we'd rent books and come back to our apartment. And we would just lay in bed, and Sam would read out loud in our apartment.
I actually kind of liked it. Yeah, it was hard.
Candles.
And it was getting cold outside. I remember having like an adult onesie on. And
the saddest part about it is the fact that it wasn't that we didn't have the money to pay for our utilities, but our money went to our drug addiction instead. Popping pills.
Yep.
We'd spend probably, $100 maybe $200 a day.
And then I'd go begging. That's a
whole
different story.
Crazy, man. I'm so glad that lifestyle is over with, dude, because it's very stressful. It's very stressful.
But when you're living that lifestyle and you're looking at where we are
you
now,
don't really,
you think that life is stressful.
Well,
more than
it just looks out of reach.
Yeah, you can't see it. You just can't see it.
The stressful part would be like waking up in the morning, not having nothing, and spending 6 hours of the day trying to chase something or get the money for something. And then, once you got high, you were okay. Because all the stress just went away. And you weren't worried about it. But until, a few hours later when you're coming down. And you might get lucky and get a hold of something that would keep you good for the rest of the day, and then you ain't gotta worry about it till you wake up the next morning. But yeah, it was just that vicious cycle over and over and over and over and over and over for years. And what's crazy, I can remember being like 15, 16 when I first really got into partying, and always being that kid that was always like, oh man, I'll never be like that. Come on, man, I'm just having fun. Are you kidding me? That will never be me.
That's an invincible immaturity.
Started with smoking weed, and then at that point I would always be like, I would never take pills. And then it gradually went into taking pills, and then I would never do that, and it would gradually move into that. But I would never do that, and it would gradually move into that. Until the next thing you know, like I'm one of the world's worst addicts.
Doing anything you can get your hands on.
Yeah. Literally, there was nothing you wouldn't do.
No.
Crazy.
We'd be dead probably right now if we were still in it.
For 100% fact.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I would definitely, 100%, no doubt about it in my brain, I would not be here today if I wouldn't have made that decision whenever I did, because I was on the edge
He was
of
so
death.
sick. Even I was too, but I wasn't quite to the point. He was a shell.
I would say I've always said I was either on the edge of death or prison, but I don't think I was really on the edge of prison, because I really didn't do, bad enough things that would put me in prison. Like I maybe did bad enough things that would wind me up in like a county jail for a few days or something.
Sometimes when you get really high like that, you don't care. And there was times where you didn't remember, or at least you said you didn't remember doing this or that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's true. There were times like eating Xanaxes on top of not sleeping for days and days. I remember one time my brother coming over to the motel room, and later on down the road, I think it may have been after we even got sober, him coming and asking me if I remember. You remember that time, dude? That I guess I was talking to walls.
Probably.
Like while having full blown conversation.
You were
with
out of
brick
your head.
And yeah. I only remember bits and pieces. I actually remember my dad showing up at the motel at one time for something.
I think he was picking up your brother, or
yeah, I can't remember what it was.
taking your brother back with him.
And that's the saddest part about it is I did not care who I seen. I didn't care. I was just out in the public, just like there was absolutely nothing wrong with me, but absolutely just out of my mind.
Yep.
Just like a walking bag of bones.
That's all it was. That's all you looked like.
Insane. Thinking
Nobody can tell.
I'm the maintenance of this apartment complex. I'm doing something with my life.
Yeah. And then you'd go look for him and he ain't doing any maintenance.
I did maintenance. I did. I painted heck of a lot of that motel. I did repairs.
There'd
I
be
did
so many
do
times
maintenance.
I couldn't find you. You did some.
Well,
But a lot
yeah,
of the
I
time
would
you'd
hide.
disappear.
All my drug dealers lived in the motel. So, of course, my drug dealer would be like, hey man, my toilet needs work on. Be there in a minute. And then get stuck in his room for 5 hours. I worked on his toilet though.
That's what I couldn't tolerate anymore. It was his give a damn. It was completely busted. Completely.
Did not
Even
care.
over me, he did not care. Nah.
And there was, at one point, I
Not doing
actually. So we had this 2012 Chevy Malibu that we went during a little small stretch of when we really weren't doing too bad. I had a decent job.
We're
I
still
was
at
working
it.
for a
Yeah.
moving company. I was getting tips. So I made more money on tips than I did on my regular $13 an hour paycheck. I'd get at least $100 a day in tips because we'd move these people that had tons of money. But anyway, I was making really good money, and we were driving a little Cavalier, and it actually started, the motor started knocking. So we went down to a big dealership, and they approved us, which I was shocked. Like, I really did not think we would drive away there with a car. But as soon as they said, yeah, we were approved for this, so we was like, okay. So I think we had to come up with like $1,000 down. We paid $1,000 down. We got this beautiful, and you got to remember, this is back in what, 2014?
No.
20, yeah.
It was probably about 2015. It was about a year later.
Well, anyway, and the
2014,
car was only a 2012, so it was basically a brand new Chevy Malibu
It still
at
ran
the
like
time.
crap.
No, it actually drove pretty good
It did,
until
but it would
after
start.
a while. Anyway, we drove that thing for 3-4 years.
No, we did not drive it that long, sweetheart. We
Yeah.
drove it. No, honey. We got clean in 2016. We didn't have that car.
Well, then it was earlier than 2015 when we got it, because we definitely had it. Because
I
we
don't
had
remember.
moved to Indiana. We had
Anyway.
it for almost a year in Indiana. Came here. Anyway, we had it for quite a long time, and we never made one car payment on that vehicle. Not once. We never went and got it tagged. We never got it insured.
We did initially in order to leave the law.
Right,
with
in
it.
order to leave with it.
We didn't maintain
So,
that.
but it lasted as long as it would last without paying. And so what I would do is the temporary plate that they had on it was like a plastic piece of paper, and they used marker to write on it. So I would just go get fingernail polish remover and erase it, and then change the date on it, and it worked. And I even got pulled over many times, many times, and it was never questioned about it. They would always let me free. Until this one time, it was about 10 o'clock at night.
He would not listen to me.
Miracle was
I had a
blowing me
bad
up,
feeling.
wanting to see me. So finally I was like, let's go.
I had a
And
really bad feeling.
we got in the car and we took off, and we were going through a little city called Mantford. And sure enough, we got lit up. And at this point, the car is like, we're riding on 3 Maypops. Like, it was ridiculous. They pull us over, and they said something about the tag. They took me to jail. They left Sam stranded in the middle of Mantford, almost 45 minutes away from where we were staying. But I ended up staying and sitting in jail for like 5 days. Jeez, man. So the camera died. But anyways, I don't know where it stopped recording at. But
anyway, recap. Pulled over in Mantford.
pulled over in Mantford, went to jail, telling the cops, if you don't let me go, I'm gonna lose my job. There's no way I'll be able to pay these fines. They kept lowering my bail each day. Like, can you not find somebody to bail you out? And I kept telling, like, I'm telling you, there's not a person in this world that's gonna bail me out of jail. Believe me. Like, at this point, you know, everybody had washed their hands with me. Everybody. And I called everyone. I called my dad, called my mom, even called my granny in Indiana. My granny was even like, yeah, probably just need to sit this one out.
He actually asked me to call her, and I called her, and I talked to her.
Oh, that's what it was,
She had the money, but she flat out told me that he's not going to change until you leave him.
No. So, needless to say, 5 days sitting in jail. By the time I left, I was pretty well detoxed. I was feeling halfway normal, like a normal human being. And of course, whenever you go to jail like that and you're an addict and you're sitting in there for that many days with nothing, no cigarettes, no nothing, they're spending the whole time and they're like, I'm done. I'm done with this life. I'm done. I'm not doing this no more. I've went this long without. I'll be good. Like, I'm going to keep it this way. And as soon as you get home.
He was scrounging through the room.
Yeah, immediately trying to get high and end up getting high.
He walked all the way from Mantford to West Tulsa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, couldn't even find a ride. Nobody would even come pick me up.
Police officer took him to the city limits.
They let me out of jail. I walked out of the jail, walked across Mantford, and I started walking down the highway towards Tulsa. And there was a cop that worked for the force, and he pulled up, and it was like an F-150 cop truck. And he rolled down the window. He's like, "Can I help you with a ride?" And he was actually really freaking cool, man. And he let me in, and we had a discussion, and he was actually talking to me about Jesus and giving me a ride down the road and got me all emotional. And yeah, he was a really cool man. That would be cool to be able to run into that guy again.
It may not
because
even be
he was
something he
really,
remembers, but you do.
really good person. And but he drove me about halfway down the highway. He got me to the Mantford city limits. He's like, "I'm sorry, but I can't take you any further than this." So, but that knocked off about about a quarter of my trip, really. And then he dropped me off, and I started walking. And it took me a few hours, but I got back to Tulsa, and yeah, it's a pretty wild story. But
and then, mind you, probably a couple years after that, it was the police chief that he was being hateful to David pretty much the whole time. That police chief, him and another officer went down to Florida. I can't remember, it was like a convention,
yeah, some kind of police
like
convention or something.
They got wasted, and the police chief killed that other officer with his bare hands.
No, I think Lucky's the one who got killed.
No.
Yeah, the guy killed Lucky. Lucky's dead, and the police chief's name was Lucky something, but yeah. So they went to a convention in Florida, and they ended up getting drunk in a motel room. Well, his partner that he went to Florida for the convention for, they got into an argument and started fighting, and he choked him and strangled him to death. And that is the cop, the guy that died. Chief Lucky something. I can't remember exactly what his name was. That's the one that was that let me out on my own recognizance, and yeah, it's pretty wild, man. Yeah, he ended up dying. This was probably 2 years after.
Let's wrap it up.
Okay, guys. Yeah, we've just been we really didn't talk about nothing. Just kind of blabbering, but we love you guys, and we gotta head off to work. And yeah, we love you guys. You guys are awesome. You're amazing. Thank you for coming, checking us out, and like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Y'all know what to do. And until next time.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our let go of disguise.